It's Friday. Fancy a foursome?
One, two, three, four, hit!
Yes, well, hello and welcome back to Friday Foursome. This is a special Friday Foursome because it's the fourth Friday Foursome. Fours everywhere. We're going foursome mad now. It's four crazy. Foursquare. That's that terrible app on the BlackBerry which I never used. Anyway, again, a fantastic response. I mean, I wasn't expecting nowhere near the kind of response we did from the last Friday Foursome. Friday Foursome episode 2. I mean, the response to that was just incredible. But again, the response to Friday Foursome 3 has been great as well. 17 excellent VRs, fantastic. I will list all of you this time. I think I missed to do that last time, didn't I? I missed to do that. It isn't even a sentence. That it is not even a sentence. Anyway, we had Retro Game Crusader. We had a new sub, Keith Parrish. Thank you very much, mate. Midnight Gamer returned. SNES-tastic Pete came with his his first Friday Foursome VR, which is brilliant. JR76 Gaming always pulls the stops out for me. Richard Turner again, top man. Stiggy's World, Mr. Chris Shank, welcome to the Friday Foursome, sir. Electric Adventures, we'll come back to him in a minute. John Gage, welcome. Thanks again. Lactobacillus Prime, T-Rex Space Station, Johnny Hart. Mr. Hart, we'll talk about you in a minute. Amiga Old School, we'll talk about you as well for a different reason. The Highlander, Maximum RD, and Acedonia 150. And I can't do your accent, Gary, so there we go. But anyway, it was 4 gaming regrets, and a lot of people found this difficult to pin down to what they considered a regret. I think, you know, you had free reign on this. I mean, whatever you considered a gaming regret was entirely up to you. A regret, not a gret. Not a gret. I'm not Jonathan Ross. Let's get that W out of there. So it didn't really matter. If you thought it was a regret that you made and wish you hadn't, then whack it in. And a common trope came through. It was very obvious. A lot of people basically finishing games was one thing. A lot of people regret not finishing enough games. I mean, I'm thinking about it. That could have been one of my regrets as well. I haven't finished near enough games than I wanted to. So that was common. But the biggest one was getting rid of stuff. Getting rid of stuff and not realising how important it was for nostalgia purposes, at least in the future. So not knowing the future value, as it were, albeit whether it's monetary or, you know, sentimental, whatever. Amiga Old School, how dare you throw that CPC away? Adam, me and you are going to have words, probably after a QPR match when we're crying into a beer. But yeah, throwing a CPC away. Deary D, mate. And Pete, you regret buying a Wii U. I'm the actual opposite to that. I would have regretted not buying one. But anyway, each to their own. I mean, that's fair enough. And that's the great thing about this, is very variance of stories, some brilliant stories, some interesting stories, some stories that you might make you want to go and pull your hair out, which I can't do because I haven't got much hair. So it was interesting to hear the stories. Again, an education, wonderful response. And yeah, we'll go straight on to the top 3 vote winners that got the most votes on my Facebook. First person is we'll come from a land down under. Oh, what was that? I don't even know what that was. It was supposed to be that Men at Work chorus, but it didn't work. Anyway, I'll shut up. Electric Adventures, Tony from Down Under with his gaming regrets.
So 4 regrets about gaming or retro gaming. Yeah, if you'd like to make a response, I'll check out his original video, which I'll link down below. So my number 4, these are not in any particular order, but my first one, I used to run it was a science fiction and fantasy store. It used to have, you know, books, games, mini games workshop section, and we had a little video game area where I mainly had 3 consoles, a SNES, a Mega Drive and a Jaguar, Atari Jaguar. The SNES I still have to this very day. The console survived when I got robbed at one stage many years ago. The Mega Drive my brother-in-law bought, and I've done videos about how he also got my games, and I got a couple of them back recently. And the Atari Jaguar. Now the Atari Jaguar were just about the only place that actually had them. I think we got them in because I was always I was mates with the Atari distributor down here, and I got very close to getting a Falcon as well, an Atari Falcon. But I got the Atari Jaguar in. Couldn't really afford it at the time, but put it in, and we used to have a little timer there next to the machines, and people could pay, I can't remember how many cents per minute block and everything like that, and they just pay to play, and after school we'd actually earn a fair bit of coin. But I couldn't really afford it, and one of the customers used to come in and enjoy it, talked me out of it, and offered me an appropriate amount of money that I was, happy with at the time. But it's just one of those systems that I regretted not being able to keep. Now the only games I played for it were the I'm having a mind blank now. The mech game that came with it, Aliens vs Predator, which I really liked, and I think that was about it. We only had those 2 games. I've played other games since, like the Tempest game and Rayman. I played them at PAX Oz the year before last, I regret letting that system go because I've never seen one since, and there really were not a lot sold down here. Even in Australia you don't see them listed on Australian eBay very often, but you never know, one day. It's not the obviously it's not the most fantastic system in the world, but it's an interesting system. I actually have one game for it. It's sitting up there on the shelf behind me for those who are observant, and I've never played that particular game on it either, so maybe one day. Now the next one would be the various computers, because obviously my very first computer was a TI-99-4, not a 4A, a 4. It had a chiclet keyboard. It could only display uppercase characters, whereas the latter 4A could display upper and lowercase characters. It only had the original BASIC built into it. The guy that I bought that off second-hand, I didn't buy it new, was supposed to give me the Advanced BASIC cartridge as part of the thing, but because he was upgrading to the 4A. But for some reason he didn't get another Advanced BASIC with the 4A, and he never gave me the Advanced BASIC, and he disappeared on me. But anyway, that's the very first computer I had at home, and the one that I learnt a fair bit of programming on. Before I realised that it wasn't really powerful enough for what I wanted to do with a computer, and then I moved on to the Spectre Video 318. So I sold that machine to get the money together, because as it is, to get that machine I sold all of my a lot of my childhood toys. So I had a huge Lego collection, I had another building toy called Fisher Technics, and I had all this Meccano. All that stuff is probably worth a fortune nowadays. And my train set, and then borrowed a whole lot of money off my father. We basically went halves to get that original TI-99. I managed to get a discount on my next computer, the 318, and I sold the TI-99, but I had to do that, so I regret not being able to keep that computer. I have many years later, and this is probably about 12-13 years ago, I managed to pick up a TI-99 4A in box, and with a whole lot of user magazines and pretty much the same games that I had back in the day, plus more. So I have more than I had, but I don't actually have a 4, and I've never actually seen one for sale, so they obviously can't be that common, those original models. And right, so now for our number 3. I suppose it's going to be a little bit of a different regret, this one. It's that I haven't finished more games. I mean, I'm a computer programmer, so my focus primarily when I'm using these systems and using computers is that you know, I like programming, but there's also, I do actually like playing games, but I have an uncanny habit of not finishing a lot of them. I like RPGs, and I you know, I would like to play more of them. And then along come kids, and then you don't have much time, and that goes on for many years, especially when you have 4 kids like I have. But I can see light at the end of the tunnel. My girls are getting older, and there will come a time when I'll have more time in my hands. Hopefully everything will still be working and I'll be able to play some of those RPGs. And my last gaming regret, probably a bit different than other people's regrets, is that, well, I wrote software for the original Spectre Video and MSX machines. Here's some of the titles that I self-published. That's Media Swarm with Birds of Orion on side B. My biggest selling title, Pixidis. These are all MSX versions, the original Spectre Video versions. Munchmania, no prizes for guessing that. I also had mounds of these program packs, which were primarily basic, some with a little bit of machine code games, and there were heaps of those. There were about 30 of those, and plus some other titles. And you can see very basic covers and everything like that. It's only those later machine code ones that a friend of mine who drew comics drew me covers for those, and I used to self-manufacture those. And I also used to publish a magazine here in Australia, and the primary reason that I published that magazine, besides the fact that I liked writing articles and doing the desktop publishing part, was that it provided a mechanism to sell my software. Now obviously some of those magazines made it over to Japan, because one day I got a letter from ASCII Corporation, and they're the people who were part of the MSX standard, and I was only fairly young. I don't know the exact age, and I haven't found the letter. I think I still have the box that it's in, but I haven't found it yet. It was a typewritten letter from Japan, in Jinglish, so it was a little hard to understand what the intent of the letter was. But the letter was they wanted to order. It said they wanted to order 1,000 samples of my games. Now I was self-publishing then, and there was no way I could afford to buy 1,000 cartridges. So did they really mean samples, or did they mean that this was a sample order? There was no detail about price, whether they're offering to pay money or anything. There wasn't a lot of detail, but in their defence, I didn't do anything about it because it freaked me out at the time. I was busy doing other things. I was a teenager, probably working, enjoying time with my friends, and that was all too hard at the time. So that really is a big regret that I did nothing about that letter and didn't follow it up, because I didn't know what to do at the time. So the older me says, stupid younger me. And it really is a big regret, but I've moved on past that, and I've published one of my titles for the ColecoVision, and I'm going to be publishing more homebrew in the future. So that's my way of doing that, and I've had a very successful career in the IT industry, so I can't complain. But one big regret is I would have liked to have worked more in the gaming industry, because I really do like making and writing games.
So yeah, winning this week's, this fortnight's, should I say, Friday Foursome is Tony with 8 likes, and no surprise there, it was a fantastic response. Some interesting regrets there. The one about, the big one at the end there, about not realising the opportunity of what that was from ASCII Corporation, and not following up on it, not chasing it up. It would have been very interesting for you, Tony, wouldn't it? I can see how you would regret that, indeed. So yeah, fantastic stuff there from Electric Adventures, and it's always good to see him showing off his own work as well. Genius. I mean, I wish I could have done that when I was that age, Tony. I really could, because I couldn't. I was fiddling around with BASIC, and that's basically all I could do. BASIC is basic. So anyway, moving swiftly on, and we'll go to a very different kind of video response this time, from Johnny Hart. Here's the number 2 winner. You're number 2, John, with 7 votes, and his very interesting spin on this week's keep saying this week, don't I? His very interesting spin on this Friday Foursome.
This is Johnny Hart, and I'm going to be doing a video response for Noah Bug's last Friday Foursome. In his in his last video, he asked, "What are your 4 gaming regrets?" So here's going to be my 4. I am presently in the middle of, well, in the centre of London, Piccadilly Circus, just on a lunch break. So here goes. My first gaming regret has to be not purchasing retro games, probably more so back in the day when I could have easily got them in game or a game shop or any game shop. So basically I regret not buying retro games sooner. I think I should have started collecting a lot earlier than I have done. It would have saved me loads more money. So with that said, let's go back to Johnny in Piccadilly. The second game I regret is not having the sense to buy my games from charity shops. My third gaming regret is okay, so you're telling me you cancelled my pre-order of Amiibos because someone has pre-ordered before me? But you're Nintendo, just make some more, send it out to me. So if I didn't get it, who's took my pre-order? Who got there before me? Who? Monkey Spaz 5000. That Scottish YouTuber who burps and farts and drinks iron brew. That is completely out of order. And who got my Sonic one? Grush Newton. He's the geezer that does topless gameplays. Right, I tell you what, I'm going to be doing my Cockney walk all the way to China. And I'm going to be coming back with one. And fourth game I regret is Amiibo that I did purchase, which was Sonic. I regret travelling all that way to China to collect an Amiibo, and all they could give me was a Sega character. Like Sonic don't belong in a Nintendo lineup. If anything, he belongs in front of breakfast cereal. Yeah, he looks very tasty. Okay guys, so that's my Friday Foursome. Feel free to like, comment and subscribe. And hold on a minute. There's Novabug. Novabug, sleep! Johnny! Okay, so that completes my video response for Novabug's Friday Foursome on my 4 gaming regrets. I think the moral of this story is to get in there sooner. If you want something, go for it. But if you want a bus, don't rely on Novabug, because he won't stop.
So, yeah, Johnny, very funny, very good. I don't think the last one really a regret. I regret I haven't not travelled to China to get this Amiibo thing. I think you'll regret more about the Amiibos in the future. But we'll leave it at that. And I wasn't on that bus because I don't drive double-deckers. I wish I did. That was a Boris bus you were chasing there. So that was Johnny's interesting spin on the Friday Foursome. I like things like that. Very left field, a little bit of comedy, always good. Very funny bloke. And yeah, chasing me down the road in London. Yeah, maybe when, you know, I might get a fan. Would that ever happen? Oh God, I would dread it. I honestly would dread it. I mean, yeah, I mean, people chase me down the road anyway. I'm a bus driver, but generally I have to stop. I don't think I would stop for Johnny. Freak me out. Anyway, finally, for this Friday Foursome, before we ask the new Foursome question, what am I doing with that pen? Don't know. Is the Highlander with 5 votes. He accrued very, very quickly in one day. And I think the reason why this happened, Walter, is that you open your video by saying, oh, it's something to do with a competition. I'm not really into that. I don't really want to be a part of it. Yeah, but you are. It's kind of backfired. And you are a winner of a fashion. Like you said, there's no prizes. Your video just gets put here.
Gaming regrets. I have a couple. Just had a quick think about it just now. And you know, I try to go in a different direction with these answers. I think a while ago I did a video response to Infected Flinch, Dave, and one of the questions was sort of the same. And I guess basically one of my gaming regrets is selling stuff. In general, I mean, I could make a gaming regret out of everything that I sold, and I'd have 4 without even having to think about it. But if I just put them all together, you know, my video pack, my Commodore 64, all my Game & Watch games, everything I had basically. All the original stuff that I had, I traded away or I sold, and I got stuff in return, probably money or other useless devices that I threw away without even remembering them. So that's one thing I regret. I could have kept them, but I'm also sure that at the time I was really fed up with the stuff, and it wasn't valuable to me. And you know, what do you do with stuff that you don't value anymore? And now it's different, and it's taught me something. The stuff that I have now, I look at and think, you know, I could do without, and I'm maybe fed up with it, but I don't throw it away anymore, because I know that there's a chance that there might be a moment that I may want to have it again. I did give up the old PC hardware though. I had some old PCs, and I don't worry about that stuff. I just throw it away. I used to have my original PC for the longest time sitting in the attic here. It's you know, it wasn't even capable of connecting to the internet. It didn't even, I mean, TCP/IP wasn't even an option on it, so. And a PC without internet connection is useless. I had an old Dell, which was basically my third PC, which had an old Windows version, and technically it could make an internet connection. It was no problem. I think it had Windows 98 on it. Come to think of it. So it was connecting to the internet, no problem. But it couldn't install any recent browser, not even Google Chrome or Firefox or whatever. And so I could still not do much or of anything on the internet, so it was useless again. So no, I don't get old PCs just to look at them. No. Anyway, gaming regret 1 is throwing stuff away, the old gaming stuff. Now, second, when I was in high school, or what, you know, our equivalent of that, I knew I liked games. I mean, this was during, you know, at the end of my my Commodore 64 days, there was a computer club in my school. They had their own room. There were computers there that I didn't know what they were. They were either very early PCs or maybe even BBC Micros. I can't really remember. I knew it was there. I knew some of the guys in there, and for some reason it didn't occur to me that I could have been a member of that club. If any of you remember my story about Fuckman, that Commodore 64 game, one of the guys who was in that club wrote that game. I think his name was Patrick. I could have been in that club, and I think I should have been. You know, if I'd been given that opportunity now, I would have taken it. That's what I tell my daughter, you know, if she gets an opportunity like that, you know, something that you like, you know, go for it. And I hesitated, and I thought, well, I don't know these people, so I won't do it. I should have done that. So second regret, and that may not sound like a gaming regret, but computers and gaming were the same to me at that moment. I hadn't seen a PC yet, and this was the new thing. I can remember my first time, our mathematics class turned to using computers, and I saw a PC, and I didn't get it. You know, it was DOS, so there was no graphical interface, and I had to use commands, you know, get the directory and stuff, and whole new world, you know. I was fascinated by it, but it was different from games. Now, my third regret, I suppose, you know, this was the time shortly after the video game crash, right? So this was also the time that I sort of said goodbye to games, you know, Commodore 64, it was sort of done. I didn't use it. I sold my Commodore. I was interested in PCs, but not for gaming reasons. The video game industry was gone, so the arcades were sort of downsizing or removing their video games, and we were getting more pinball machines and slot machines. So it was sort of going downhill anyway. But in the background, of course, Nintendo was coming back. You know, we had the NES as well. I just didn't care about it. But this was also the time that I left high school and had to choose a career. You know, you have to choose what you're going to do. You know, you're 16 or 17, and, you know, have to make this big choice. And I knew I liked games. I knew I liked gaming. And I knew I liked computers. So my regret at that moment is that I wasn't honest with myself. And I should have said, I want to get into gaming. Now, that would have been difficult at that point. I don't think we had any game development companies, but I didn't even look. I said that I wanted to do something with computers, so I studied computer science, which was, to me, still the closest thing, but I should have been in gaming. I could have been, if I really wanted to, I could have been in gaming at that point, and I didn't. So I've had a couple of opportunities that I passed on. You know, I passed on. That I let go. I should have taken them. Gaming regret number 3. My career should have been gaming. Or it could have been, at least. That's a regret. But I won't gripe about it. You know, it's never too late to change. It's never too late to do what you like. I think you have an obligation to yourself to do what you like every day. Every day. You know, you have to find something generally that agrees with you, that excites you, and that's what you have to do. And I see way too many people on Facebook dumping on the day. I hate Monday, you know. I'm having a bad day this. I'm meeting a bad person there, you know. I unfollow people that do that on Facebook. Because I don't enjoy it. Oh, and if I have, you know, I had to come up with another gaming regret. And I was thinking, you know, is it all the games that I bought? You know, most of the stuff behind me, I'm probably never going to play. I found Elite to be, Elite Dangerous, it's the game that I'm playing now. I found it to be so exciting and so immersive, and it's giving me so much fun and happiness that none of the games around me have given me. So I could say that I regret buying all of this, but then, you know, if I hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't have been in the community like I am now, and that I don't regret. On the contrary. So, my last regret, you know, to match it up with the rest that I've seen, and I regret buying the Wii U like I did. And that's not to say that I regret having the Wii U, because I think it's a good system. I think it's an underrated system. I think that the game library for it is too small. But I also think that that will be corrected in the future. So I'm glad to have it, but I got it too soon. I did get it secondhand, but I could have gotten it cheaper, and I didn't do that. I bought it to play Mario Kart 8 solely on the hype that I saw around me, and I had fun with it, you know, but it was only for a short time, and now I have a Wii U. I just have another system to buy games for. On the other hand, you know, all the games that I have for the Wii U are new games, so I'm actually experiencing the Wii U the way it is supposed to be experienced. You know, retro gaming makes it possible to own a large chunk of the game library because you can get the stuff cheap. You know, the PS2 was easy to have hundreds of games for the PS2. But it also warps your vision, you know. You have so many games you don't know what to play. If the games are so hard to come by, like they used to be, because they were so expensive when you were a kid, you know, you only had 2 or 3 games and you rented the rest. That's the way it was supposed to be, is maybe the wrong word, but that's the way that you appreciate the games that you have more. And I have an opportunity to enjoy the Wii U the way, you know, in that way. But the regret is still that I got it as a new system, and I paid a little too much for it, and so I shouldn't have done that. That's a minor regret. Now, I don't regret my career. I don't. You know, it could have been different, and I probably should have been more honest with myself. But that doesn't mean that I'm unhappy with what I do now or with the path that's behind me. You know, I've done many things. I've done many cool things, and it's made me what I am today. And that's it. And if I, you know, if I die tomorrow, I'll look back on having done many things that I wanted to do. And I'm happy with that.
So yeah, there's the Highlander with some very deep regrets there, and some good messages I think we should all learn, and a good positive message in that about if you see an opportunity, take it. I think many of us don't do that, and lots of positive messages in that, despite how laid back the man is. But yeah, I mean, missing out on things like that in your childhood, and when you could have joined a computer club and you didn't, and that must, yeah. I mean, I never had that opportunity, so I can understand it from an outsider's point of view, certainly. And about as strange is views on the Wii U. Much like Pete said, he regrets buying it so early. I actually bought mine a lot earlier than you, Wouter, way before Mario Kart 8 even came out. And again, I'm kind of on the polar opposite view. I don't regret buying it that early because I had a chance to experience some of the early games with it before Mario Kart 8 came out. So, an interesting take on that system. But he does agree that it is a good system. So, fantastic. There we go. Some great VRs there. Some 3 top video responses for the Friday Foursome Game of Regrets. So, brilliant stuff. And all the others were fantastic as well. And thank you guys for participating. And remember, if you've missed this Friday Foursome or you've missed any of the previous Friday Foursomes, don't hesitate to make a VR or make a comment or anything about the question involved in that particular video. All the links are downstairs in the white box, which we call a description thingy. So yeah, go and check out the previous episodes, and if you fancy doing a VR, go for it, and just link me to it, and I will post it on my Facebook like I've done every single other one. So, shall we get on to this Friday Foursome? 4. I always do this. I'm going to wave 4 around. 4 answers. This is going to give you a chance, I think, a little bit more, because the regret one was a little bit serious, wasn't it? So we're going to have a little bit of fun with this one. So most of this is completely hypothetical, so you can go anywhere with this. The chances are your answer is never going to happen. It's never going to come to fruition. So, but that is irrelevant. It's what you would want in an ideal world. So, what 4 main franchises would you kill? Would you remove, get rid of, end now? That you've had enough. You've had enough of that franchise. It's done. It's rinsed, repeated. Get rid of it. Fuck off. That's it. But you can go mad on this. Have a rant at the camera about any particular franchise you've. There's hundreds. We know. Any brand, old, new, current, you name it. Go for it. My 4. No surprises. People are going to go, yeah, we know what you're going to say, Novabug. Well, we'll start with the obvious. Call of Duty. Sorry, it's got to go. And my reasons? Because it's got stale, it's got dull, it's got boring as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm coming from a biased point of view, I suppose, personally for me. I'm not a massive FPS fan. I'm certainly not a massive FPS MMO fan. But Call of Duty is just it's just monotonous now. It's, oh, when's the next one coming out? It's just a kind of a little quick paint job of the previous one, you know. And the hype lasts about a couple of weeks and then it disappears. I think the last 4 or 5 Call of Duties have been like that. Massive hype for about 3 weeks, bang, it disappears, gone, lost, forgotten. That's it. So it's been going on for quite a while, and it's a big cash cow, isn't it? And it's probably never going to end, not for quite a while. But I just wish it would, because I'm sick and tired of it. Come up with something else. Let's have a different FPS, something a bit more original. It's dull, and I can't see any significant progression in it anymore. So Call of Duty, please die. My second franchise to end, and I think this might be, a lot of people might agree with this one, namely because of the quality of the games that have been out recently. I'm afraid, our little blue spiky hedgehog, you really got to hang out those red boots, because you're wearing thin, my son. It seems Mario is still just keeping above you now. I mean, Mario's games aren't of greatest, they're very good still, but they're not, as you know, we're not talking about the heyday. But when games like Mario 3D World are coming out, and then what we have opposite that is Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, with its massively glitched gameplay, and basically it's unfinished almost in parts, control issues, bit of a pity. No, it's not a bit of a pity, it's a big pity. I'm afraid Sonic and Tails and Knuckles and Shadow and everyone else and Amy, they've really got to go to the animal retirement home, I think. That franchise is done. I think it has. And they're just rinsing it now, unfortunately. It's nice to see Sonic, say, appear in other franchises now and then, like Smash Brothers. Just as, you know, bit parts, little cameos. I want to see Sonic do that now. Just appear in cameos is a nice little surprise. But any more dedicated games, I think, should end. For the sake of the memory of Sonic. Third franchise I would kill. Again, not a surprise. Because, again, it's just a roster update now, isn't it? And I think a lot of sports games can be guilty of this, being a roster update, particularly in the UK. FIFA football. So can we just try it? I want to go back to the days when we had like Kickoff and Sensible Soccer, and then different kind of football games with different mechanics. And now we got FIFA, which is exactly the same. I think for me, my personal experience, it's been exactly the same since 2003. That's the way I see it. And FIFA fans are going to argue the point and say, no, it fucking isn't, Novabug. It's different here, it's vastly different there since the back, but that's the way I've seen it. I mean, I've played about 6 or 7 FIFA games over, I think it's 2003 all the way up to, I haven't played the current one, the last one I played was FIFA 13. And I've got FIFA 13 because I have to have it for the Wii U collection. But it doesn't excite me. It doesn't excite me. It's a generic football game, and every year it's just a roster update, and that's the way it comes across. So I think it's time for a new football game. So ditch. And to be honest, FIFA is a corrupt organisation anyway. So having the game named after them is a bit off-putting for me as well, because they are a bunch of idiots until their regime changes. So if we're going to get a football game franchise, a new one at least, let's create something different. I don't know what. I don't know the answer to everything questions. I can pose the question, I can't give the answer, like every bastard does. My final franchise I will kill off, and that had a key clue in that final, I said, and this is going to be controversial because I am a fan of this series, especially 7, 9, 10, 6. You know where I'm going with this. Final Fantasy. I think it should be the Final Fantasy. I think that's it. It should finish. It should end, and I think Square need to maybe revisit some of their old franchises that never went back to, like Chrono Trigger, Second Densetsu, there's or Kingdom Hearts. I mean, we've been waiting for a Kingdom Hearts 3 for yonks, haven't we? I mean, is it ever going to come out? I don't know. But Final Fantasy is their priority, of course, and it doesn't excite me. A new Final Fantasy coming out used to excite me. 12. The last time when Final Fantasy 12 came out, I was really excited and then disappointed with it. And I think now Final Fantasy 15 should be the Final Fantasy. But there you go. That's my reasons. Not really. They're pretty flimsy. They can't beat. You see, they can't go back, and you can't beat 7 and 9 for my tastes, because 7 and 9 are just definitive for the Final Fantasy series. Obviously, we could have a remake. People go on about the remakes for 7, of course, but maybe we could. They could finish the series quite spectacularly, especially with the power of like the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. They could put like 1 to. They've got the games, so it wouldn't be a problem. Well, I can't see it being a problem. They could put 1 to 10, possibly 1 to 12. Obviously not 11 because that's online. 13's online as well, isn't it? I think. So 1 to 14 maybe. All on like a 2-disc pack and bring it out for the PlayStation 4. That'd be fantastic. That would be a brilliant way to finish it. That'd be really good to finish it. Just an anniversary edition. Brilliant. With Final Fantasy, I think Square, you've got to finalise it. Anyway, that's my answers. You may agree with them, you may not agree with them. You know, tell me what you think in the comments box, or tell me in a Friday Foursome response video. Give me your 4 franchises you would kill. Murder, if you will. Get rid of those franchises. You are sick to the back teeth of them. Have a rant. Why don't you? Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Like I said, all video responses will be posted in my Facebook. Go over to that. It's down there somewhere. And all votes, likes, all likes mean a vote, and the videos with the most likes on the page will get a feature on the next Friday Foursome. And also, guys, I want to speak to you now about the format in general, and if you feel that you're enjoying it, I've had so many good feedback from it as well, but if you think I should give it a break, maybe after a couple more episodes, or do you think I should continue? Please let me know. It's great fun to do. I love watching all the videos. In fact, all the videos responses, I think, is taking up my priority viewing time, I think, now in YouTube. Which is no bad thing, because, I mean, loads of new people making video responses, and it's fantastic. And thank you for all our new subs, and thank you for everyone who's said everything kind about having this foursome. We do like a foursome on a Friday. Well, I do anyway. But that's this one out. Friday Foursome out.